The Phase 4 slate of content revealed at this year's San Diego Comic-Con panel consisted of 5 movies and 5 Disney Plus streaming shows. One of those streaming shows scheduled is an animated anthology series entitled What If? Now, the series, based on the comic series of the same name, is scheduled to feature alternative stories to those we've already seen during the past 11 years of the MCU. As such, the series has already been confirmed to feature many MCU alumni, both past and present. How's it going, everyone? I'm Andrew Caravella. You can find me on social, handle On Air Andrew. All right, let's get to this top 10 list. These are 10 potential what-if stories that the upcoming Disney Plus series could tell. First up, Captain America and Bucky Barnes both survived World War II. Now, even with the returning cast of MCU alumni, one of these few absences from the lineup was Chris Evans, who portrayed Steve Rogers, aka the Cap, for 8 years. Captain America may be in retirement after a long road getting there, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be the last time fans ever see Steve Rogers on the big, small, or animated screen. Now, in this particular story, which focuses more on Bucky surviving World War II than how the Cap already survived it, the emotional hook would be seeing how Bucky survived the war and possibly never became the Winter Soldier under Hydra's control. The story would be a bittersweet tale that not only sees Bucky adjusting to life after the war, but also living in a world where he is not with his best friend. Up next, the Gamma Bomb spawned 1,000 Hulks. From Planet of the Apes to Planet of the Hulks, but not quite Planet Hulk, this story focuses on an incident where a gamma radiation bomb drops on Japan and turns thousands of citizens into Hulks. That's kind of crazy, I know. The Hulks then migrate from Japan to America and take over the country. While this story was first created almost 25 years ago in 1995, and therefore may need some updates, particularly with the real-world references to terrorism in Japan, the overall story would still be a great idea, particularly in showing how Dr. Bruce Banner would fit into this new world. At number 8, The Avengers Had Never Been. Now, while not a full cast list, the cast of Marvel's What If includes many of the major players from the MCU, including the core Avengers team. Because of this, there is great potential of telling some sort of Avengers stories in this new series. However, to give a truly what-if story, the right move to take these characters down is in a story of the Avengers having never existed. If we take out the need or even want for superheroes around the universe, then what we are left with is quite an interesting and amusing story where the likes of Thor, Ant-Man, and Black Panther are simply living everyday lives. Thor and T'Challa would still have regal status, but the difference in both Hank Pym and Scott Lang's lives would be drastically different, particularly as the latter would still be a criminal. Another story, Bruce Banner was savage and the Hulk was intelligent. So Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, is one of the most interesting heroes in the MCU. Because of the Jekyll-Hyde concept around the character, you get the point. So while this may not seem like a difference in the original story, what if there was a world where the roles were completely reversed and Bruce Banner was the savage monster, while the Hulk was the intellectual pacifist? Taking the complete story from the comics may not be the best idea for an animated series released by the House of Mouse. However, if they were to rework the story into a sort of zany comedy with maybe homages or even references to a darker undertone, then that could make for a very compelling role reversal story. Oh boy! Up next on this list, Sergeant Fury fought World War II in outer space. So the ultimate version of Nick Fury may be the only incarnation of the character today's mainstream audience chooses to acknowledge these days. I mean, thanks to Samuel L. Jackson's brilliant turn as the now former director of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, for the first 40 years of the character's creation, he was a Caucasian soldier turned S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who originally worked with the Howling Commandos. In one particularly what-if story, Earth has progressed so fast and so early in their technological advancements that World War II is fought in space. Samuel L. Jackson is confirmed to appear in the series, which I'm kind of excited about. As such, it does seem that the Caucasian Nick Fury will most likely not appear. However, with Neil McDonough also returning to reprise his role as Dum Dum Dugan, it stands to reason that Fury could be doing what he always does and running point from the ground while Dugan leads the commandos in space. At number 5, the Hulk went berserk. So while Hulk fans may have been screwed out of some of the famous Hulk stories in the MCU due to the rights owned by Universal, the What If series could easily give us a Hulk story close to one of the more famous mainstream stories. I mean, if we saw the Hulk completely let loose, to which I mean unleashing a complete berserker fury with no obstacles or rehabilitation procedures that the Avengers had in place during their missions in the movies, then fans could finally see the Hulk as the terrifying monster that he could be. At number 4, Loki found the hammer of Thor. So Tom Hiddleston was an early favorite in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as he took the top-tier villain, Loki, and turned him into an iconic and multi-layered anti-hero, whom, by the way, is the only villainous character to be getting his own Disney Plus series. As well as his own series, Tom Hiddleston is returning to the role of the God of Mischief in Marvel's What If series. As with most characters, there are many different directions that the character of Loki can go down in this new anthology series, but the most interesting ones involve Loki being able to wield Thor's mighty hammer Mjolnir. After a failed attempt to lift the hammer in 2009's Thor, when we knew he definitely wasn't worthy, how interesting would it be to actually see a truly worthy God of Mischief wield the godly weapon? Or better yet, what if he manages to wield it and then wreaks havoc and destruction with it? And now, kicking off our top 3, we start with The Watcher Save the Universe. Uatu the Watcher may be a new character for Marvel's What If, despite there already being Watchers cameoing, because that's like a word, in 2 scenes of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but he is set to make his debut and potentially in a big way. Uatu the Watcher will not only be the narrator of the entire What If series, voiced by Jeffrey Wright, fitting for the character as in the comics, he is the overseer of the entire Marvel Universe. But there is potential for Uatu to also star in his own What If story. For instance, Uatu is sworn by oath never to interfere in Universal events, only appearing in the comics at fixed points, such as Bill Foster's death during Civil War. However, exploring the ramifications if he was to intervene in an event that could destroy, like the universe, could be an interesting route to explore and a great introduction prior to his inevitable debut in the MCU proper. At number 2, how about Thor was a herald of Galactus? Now, Galactus is one of the most powerful entities in Marvel Universe, and potentially the next big bad of the MCU. However, until then, we have the potential of Marvel's What If to introduce Galactus and have the God of Thunder as his herald rather than the traditional Silver Surfer. If the World Eater is scheduled to become the MCU's next big bad, then it is unlikely that Fahey would introduce him on such a small animated scale, but to have Thor being the servant of one of Marvel's biggest and baddest villains would make for a compelling alternative tale. And at number 1, it's Thanos joining the Avengers. Josh Brolin may be finished with Thanos for now in the movies, however, that hasn't stopped the actor from joining the overall cast of Marvel's What If. As such, it would not make sense to have Thanos be a villain to the Avengers once again, given the opus that was Avengers Endgame still fresh in everyone's minds. However, an interesting what if for the character could easily be showing what would happen if the Mad Titan joined the Avengers. Now, with the episode not only giving us a side to Thanos that mainstream audiences would not know existed, but also showing the Mad Titan fighting alongside heroes such as Thor and Ant-Man would be a very surreal thing for audiences to witness. And that's our list of 10 what-if stories you might see in the MCU. If you have any comments, go ahead and leave them below. Make sure to share this video, and if you haven't already, make sure to like our page. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.